Hey everyone, welcome back. I am Sophie, also known as the Saggy Mom. I am on track, sort of. It's Monday, so here's a new video for you. Today's topic, what I'd like to talk about is where I am so far in my second postpartum journey. So I'm currently 7 months postpartum for my second C-section, and I'm doing pretty good. My first C-section was absolute hell. Recovery was horrible. I thought I was never gonna be able to sit up straight ever again, let alone leave the house. That is probably a whole video series in itself. So anyways, this time around, it was unexpected again. I did try to have a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean. It's very possible, so if you can go for it, if you are a good candidate, I strongly suggest to go for it versus having to have a repeat C-section. Just before I go off on too many things, do your research for after having a C-section. Make sure if your provider is telling you the risks of a VBAC, make sure they're also going over the risks of a repeat cesarean. So I didn't know until it was happening to me. I knew that obviously there's a lot of risks having major abdominal surgery that helps you birth a baby, but I actually had to have a 3-unit blood transfusion the second time around. And that's common. That's kind of like, yeah, it's your second one, it happens. And I was just like, okay. So looking back at my first C-section, one of the first things out of the nurse's mouth when I woke up, mind you, I've been put under 2 times now for my C-section, so I don't know what's going on. I've never seen my baby be born, even from my belly. I remember the nurse saying, "Don't worry, we were able to stop the bleeding." And I was like, okay, I'm waking up from anesthesia, so I don't know what's going on. When I woke from my second C-section, they told me, yes, I did have a lot of blood loss. So that's another thing. Also, being put under anesthesia is a really big risk, but because I tried for the VBAC, I already had an epidural, and that's with both C-sections. I've already had epidural, but the epidural does not work for me to not feel surgery. Both poke tests, I'm like, I can feel it. And I already knew, like, the second time around, I was trying to tell the anesthesiologist as I'm in the operating room, I can feel that. I don't think this is gonna work. It didn't work last time. And I already know, like, I'm very anxious. I'm scared. I can feel it. My anxiety is in overdrive trying to let her know. And she was just like, okay, whatever. And then I was like, okay, that's a needle. That feels like a cotton swab. It's wet, it's cold. And she was like, oh, I guess she needs to be put under anesthesia. I'm like, yeah, well, I know my body. And that's another thing I learned this round, is to be a bigger advocate for myself. My mom actually, her second C-section for my brother, she felt the entire thing. She felt the laser cutting her for the incision. She felt the pulling, the tugging. It wasn't pressure. She felt everything. So I always keep that in the back of my mind. Like, I am not trying to feel this. I need to make sure that I am covered. So that's how my second C-section went. I woke up screaming in pain. I wasn't even out of the operating room yet. I remember like the being wheeled out, surgery was over, and that was the first thing I was like, oh my God, it's burning, it's painful. Like, it felt like they had just freshly cut me, but it was, oh my God, it was so painful. And of course, one of the first things I do when my fiance handed me the baby, I was like, okay, I gotta feed. I knew you know, waking up from major surgery, you don't do this for anything else. But I was like, okay, give me my baby, let me make sure I'm taking care of someone else, even though I'm not even taken care of yet. So, second time around, surgery, blood transfusion, I just wanted to come home because I had a toddler at home waiting for me, and who I was already like, was having a hard time being away from. But the healing process, I I am very impressed with how much better the second time was. Even though I was in pain, I could not believe that a week after having my second C-section, I was visiting family. When I walked through my aunt's door, my cousin saw me and like a ghost. She's like, "You're here? You're walking?" All of my family saw me for my first C-section, and everyone was like knew how bad off I was. I couldn't even believe it too. I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna, throw some clothes on and go see everyone. And they were just like, can't believe you came. Like, it was just dinner, and I was like, okay, yeah, I feel okay. And I went, and I was just like pretty impressed by myself, and so was my family. They could not believe that I was doing what I was doing. Like, I'm just telling you, like, the little thing, like being able to sit in the car, getting out of the car, going to the bathroom on my own. Like, it seems so small and like not a big deal, but for me, huge. So that in itself was just a lot, and I can't believe I did it. So the healing process has gone really well. I didn't realize that I had another incision. I don't know, I guess I just assumed they cut either very closely to your last incision or they cut right on top of it. I know like scar tissue is a thing, but I guess I just didn't really know. And my incisions aren't right on top of each other. My first incision is a little higher, and my second incision is definitely almost an inch below my first incision, and it's a little jagged. So the scar, it's still new. Obviously my first one has faded quite a bit. My second scar is still new. It's still fading, but for the most part my scars are very flat. And I know I'm a part of a few C-section pages on Facebook, and I am very fortunate. Even though like it's traumatic in itself for me, I feel for these moms because they'll show their pictures and they are just open sores, bleeding months after the fact, and just painful, infected. And that's why I encourage moms, if you have only had one C-section, even two, there's been so many stories of women having a vaginal birth after multiple cesareans. Obviously, there are risks, so you got to do your own research for that. But I just try to encourage you to stay away from having to have a C-section if you can. Obviously, some births, they have to have a C-section, and that's why C-sections can be such a great thing. For me, I just mourn not being able to be part of my child's birth. I am put to sleep. I don't know what's going on. I don't hear it called out like the weight or breathing. They're healthy. I don't know that till after. So I kind of get filled in last. I'd love to hold my baby first, but unfortunately, it's passed around quite a lot before it gets to mom. Before my child gets to mom. So just with that, that's kind of been like my healing process so far. And I feel very fortunate this round. I am going towards 8 months postpartum, and right before the 7th month mark, I got my period back. So with my first C-section, I didn't get my period back until 6 months postpartum, and now just like a month bonus, I guess, I got my period back. So I am breastfeeding. I've breastfed both my boys. I think I'll probably do self-weaning again. My firstborn weaned maybe halfway or a little bit more halfway through my pregnancy, so that was easy. I was really worried because my first major Chi-Chi boy, I'll give him a bottle and he'll still have his hand right down my shirt. It's like not much has changed, but he's not at all interested in mama's milk, which is fine, believe me. Second time breastfeeding, not as hard for me. I I kind of felt prepped. I didn't really stop breastfeeding. My son would still dry nurse with me, even though I didn't have milk to give him. So it didn't feel like I was starting too much all over again, but what was hard was understanding my milk flow and production alongside my son's sleeping schedule. And I've mentioned this before, my son would sleep. He would sleep and I would get super full and I'd have to empty, and I'd pump and feed, and finally got to where we're good. So I still have a lot of golden milk frozen from his newborn stage, so that's great. I have it on hand. I've used it for my baby, and when I saw Jojo kind of having like cold-like symptoms, just like a runny nose, I snuck a bottle for him mixed with regular milk and some chocolate milk, and he was none the wiser, and the runny nose is gone. So that's just something that I will probably continue to do if I do see cold-like symptoms. You know, we don't want to run to the doctor's office. We're still in a pandemic, so if I can save him at home and know he's fine, no fever, nothing like that, I would much rather treat it at home and just be done with it that way. So now that I have my period that has returned, I wanted to try other products. I'll probably never use a tampon again, ever. That's just a personal preference. I don't feel the need to stick anything up there once you get like cervical exams during birth, and I just, no thank you. So I've always had a super heavy period, and I've always hated that. You know, you stand up, you feel like you just gushed out your intestines and it's a big mess, which is hardly ever happens. But I wanted to try some new products. What I usually use, I mean, I don't have a packaging for it, but this is like the size 4. And I always get the longer size because my period is so heavy. So I get the longer size to hopefully not leak out. This is kind of just like a protective measure. And the first day, this was not cutting it. So I was like, okay, I need to go try something. So went to Target and I found these Cora overnight pads. And you can see here, it kind of shows you like how big they are. And that's like my, my backup for me. I don't know how else to say, but the longer the pad is for me, the better I feel about like leakage. And these honestly were so nice to the feel. There's not even like a plastic wrapper, so you're not even like super loud about it. So let's see if I open one right here, and I feel like they're just long enough, right? Just long enough for that protection. And I didn't use these overnight. I used them overnight, but these I used during the day. I felt like they were thin enough, they were comfortable. I believe they're, okay, so the top sheet of the pad itself is made with organic cotton. So it's just comfortable. Like the feeling compared to Always and Cora absorbed it, and it didn't have like a wet feeling on top, if you know what I mean. So these were great. I am probably going to switch over to these. The price point is not as cheap, I would say, but the price point isn't that big of a difference. So for something that's a little bit more natural for down there, especially cotton, it's breathable. It felt so much better. I'll probably stick to these for my first couple days and overnight. And I think I still might use Always, unless I can find Cora and a daytime version, like still heavy. But for me, I still go back to wanting that like bigger size, just in case, for my peace of mind, in case I do leak or need room, because my flow is so heavy. So definitely the first 2 days of my period was crazy and just super heavy, and then by the end of it, it did kind of mellow itself out and I felt much better. And now in between, even before I got my period back, I switched to these chlorine-free ultra-thin liners. Is it L was the brand? I didn't even pay attention to that. But I think that might be it. And these are also hypoallergenic cotton top sheet that has no synthetic pesticides, dyes, or fragrances, which is great, right? Sensitive on skin and breathable, by women for women. So obviously, women know what we're talking about when it comes to the time of the month and how it feels. So these have been really nice just to wear as panty liners on or off your period, or, you know, the last couple days of your period, just to make sure you're not you're not turning your regular underwear into period underwear. These are great too, super soft, really love how they feel. Much softer, much better quality than like a plastic type of liner. Also, I always feel like my skin on my face kind of resets itself after I have a baby. My skin has always felt better, and part of that, I think, is not necessarily trying to be neglectful or lazy, but it ends up being that way. And I do a lot less to my skin than I probably would have before having kids. So that's part of it, I guess. And I always feel like less is more. And my mom has complimented my skin, my sister, my friends, the two that I have, or, you know, I've gotten some messages like, hey, your skin looks really good. I was like, thanks, I hardly do anything. So I really only try to wash my face. Don't judge me. When I shower. So I will wash my face in the shower. I have just a cleanser. I think it's CeraVe. I'll try to link it. I didn't grab it, but I'll wash my face in the shower, and that's the only time. In between that, I will use a washcloth with warm water to just kind of wet my face for the day, get those eye boogies out. And that's kind of it. Alongside with that, I will use witch hazel on a cotton pad, and I will just go around my nose and, you know, just real lightly, and kind of use that as a cleanser. If I don't wash my face in the shower, that's what I do during the week. Obviously, I follow up with a moisturizer, so I bounce back between Aveeno Ultra Calming with a SPF and Red Earth Pink Coconut Nourishing Lotion with coconut and pomegranate extracts. Sorry, I found this on clearance at Target, so that's what I've been using alongside this one. So that's my skincare routine, and it's winter, so this is on my lips. So what I showed you is exactly what this is right now. I hate makeup. When I wear it, yeah, I feel cute, but like I hate doing my makeup. I hate cleaning makeup brushes. I hate figuring out how to do my makeup because I put it on my face and I'm like, did I do it right? I think this step goes this step. I don't know how to do eyeshadow. I've never done it before. My eyebrows are always sisters, never twins, because I look really excited one side and then I look mad like another side. So I just am not good at it. So I try not to do it. So in a nutshell, that is where I'm at currently postpartum from my second baby, my second C-section, and how I've kind of tried to take care of myself this far. Other than that, I can't really think of anything. Obviously, I want to get into other things of what I use like postpartum, like right at the hospital and all that. And I think that's coming in another video. I'm just doing this because it's the 7th month check-in, and this is where I'm at so far. So I hope you liked the video. I hope it could help you out a little bit. Please like and subscribe, and I'd love to see a conversation with you in the comments. Thanks.